Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CyberX video banger. In today's video, I have pieced together a couple of video clips for you all today that is going to confirm how embedded Ripple and XRP are with this new financial infrastructure that they are building. Again, I'm showing you all this information. I am not an XRP maxi. I'm not sitting here telling you all that XRP is going to be worth thousands of dollars in the future, nor am I telling you all that this transformation is going to happen overnight. Nor am I sitting here saying that XRP is my biggest holding. I'm simply here as a middleman showing you all what these systemically important organizations are talking about. They're not talking about Cardano. They're not talking about Solana. They're not talking about Bitcoin. They're specifically talking about the digital asset XRP, the regulatory clarity that it has, the potential that it has to completely transform cross-border remittance payments and RippleNet. So pay attention to detail. As always, bringing you guys the realest information. The vast majority of video clips that I'm going to share with you all today, barely each have over 100 views, which just goes to show, again, that the masses are not paying attention to this information, which is why we are providing it for you all here today, for you all to make your own decisions. Now, two things I want to confirm, again, that you need to understand before we start this video breakdown. Number one, this transformation, I don't care who tells you, is not going to happen overnight. XRP is not going to be worth freaking $100, $1,000 tomorrow. All that bullish Moonboy hype, we're not going to bring you that information here on the CyberX platform. You all can create your own timelines in your own head based off of the research that you all do. We're not here to give you guys price predictions. We're here to give you value information that goes unnoticed to the mainstream. With that being said, you need to understand that regulations are not firmly put in place in this digital asset infrastructure, albeit they are underway, and we are seeing progress in the regulatory environment on a global scale. But in order for these financial institutions to actually utilize digital assets of these blockchain protocols, there needs to be clear regulation. So that is why they are not being utilized yet. And when you understand that, and you understand that in these video breakdowns, they are literally telling you all that they cannot touch digital assets yet, but they are planning to when there's clear regulations. You understand the power of being patient. I ask all of my followers to do research, be patient, understand what digital assets like XRP are going to be utilized for in the future. They're not being utilized for their utility now. And when you understand that, you can zoom out, have a long-term perspective, and understand where this market is truly headed. As always, bringing you guys the realest information. Sit back, relax. If you hold XRP or if you enjoy these video breakdowns, smash that thumbs up button and make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss any further video breakdowns. Let's jump into this series of video clips.
So I think if we look firstly at the traditional methods, essentially cross-border payments are running on technology that was built in the 1970s, right? So if you think a cross-border payment can take 3 to 5 days to settle in some cases, it's extremely expensive with correspondent banks taking their slice in terms of fees along the way. And also it's pretty inefficient. 6% of global payments actually fail. And this just doesn't serve the needs of the people today, right? So,
and then you can transmit stable coins to another country and over to sell to the local currencies using the local fiat gateways. So the whole process for that is much more efficient than any SWIFT wire transfer regime. So the whole process for that is much more efficient than any SWIFT wire transfer regime. And also a lot of times the cost, considering using stablecoin, can also be lower. So it's very cost-efficient ways to conduct international trade now using stablecoin settlement, as well as a payment token.
Internet between counterparties. And so if we can improve it with more scalable blockchain technologies like Brad's company provides.
Typical of cross-border payments be solved very specifically. Who is going to make the clear and settlement of foreign exchange transactions, and to address something that is already in the Q&As? What is the role of SWIFT, which is a messaging system, not a clearing and settlement system? What do you think? Let's start with you, John.
Yeah, that's a big challenge actually. Who's going to run that hub? I show that hub and spoke. So when you have you're going to define a hub. Who's that going to be? You're going to say, is it the BIS? Is it the IMF? It's going to have to be someone that all the central banks on the spoke trust.
We're honored to be working globally with Many central banks, I think we've publicly released 6 governments that we're working with. Most recently, we announced a partnership with the National Bank of Georgia. We're honored to be working with them. We have several others that we're working with privately.
Is going to have to be someone that all the central banks on the spoke trust. Of course, the Project Mariana has another way around that. They create an automatic market maker. But even so, I think a big challenge will be like to ask the Fed, are you going to trust this hub that's not run by you? And of course, the Fed would like to say, we'll run it, but then we'll say, the ECB will say, hey, no way. So I think that's actually could be one of the biggest challenges to implement in any of these sort of these wholesale CBDC based cross-border systems. And I mean, I think SWIFT will always be here. I mean, SWIFT is just a messaging system. It doesn't transfer anything, but anytime you've got a payment to settle an asset transaction or whatever, you need a SWIFT. It involves a SWIFT message. I used to work at the Bank of Canada on the foreign exchange desk. You live and breathe SWIFT. The only thing I can see on the horizon is you've got, say, Ripple. Ripple has a competing project called RippleNet that might be a competitor, but.
So if you think about how we transfer money in the past from point A to point B, so there are 3 legacy payment rails. One is the card network, ACH, and also bank wire transfers. So currently, actually all 3 of them can be replaced by blockchain entirely.
And so what is the value of DeFi today relative to what people perceive the value of DeFi might have been 3 years ago? Well, the value is that it's actually easier and faster and better to build financial products on a DeFi stack than it is to build it on the old traditional financial stack that was built over the last 50 years. And that's why you're seeing major banks, major PBs start to build things like tokenized money market funds. Because they see this and they say, oh, the crypto rails are actually better for trading these traditional assets than the current rails that we have. So we're going to move over slowly.
Everyone for financial services. But as you pointed out, if one wants to have cross-border payments, you actually still have to go through the rails of the SWIFT network, basically. And blockchain has the opportunity to put the coffin on the nail of SWIFT by applying this technology, also in the context of stablecoin. And the challenge is to create this network in a cost-efficient way and be also regulatory compliant for cross-border payments.
All these things, I think, play into the same thing. And the positive thing is that at the same time, the SEC said XRP is not a security. They also
and be also regulatory compliant for cross-border payments.
So whether it is in trading on regulated CCPs or in use in foreign exchange use cases, it really is. It's a new type of infrastructure that emerges and allows sort of the evolution past where the existing banking rails can let us down and have stopped evolving to a certain extent. We all see it really is. It's a new type of infrastructure that emerges and allows sort of the evolution past where the existing banking rails can let us down. It's new, right? It's new structures, it's new formats, there's new risks that are associated with it. It needs new transparency, it needs new investor protection, consumer protection, and obviously as it has grown explosively and grown out of an industry that is a new industry like crypto, the whole world is wrestling with regulation around this differently.
So I've been watching this evolving differently. I haven't been watching the technology pull along the interest in use. I've been watching the needs of an industry calling for this development. And it's at 2 levels, what I call the micro level, the transactions that are needed to be done quickly and cost effectively and efficiently. And it's increasing. At first it was, once every couple of months I'd get a call, hey, we've got this problem, this idea, and we were able to use digital assets to solve it. Got this problem, this idea, and we were able to use digital assets to solve it.
I internalize the complexity of that ecosystem and what will be required. And that's what we think about at Ripple. We think about CBDC as a full ecosystem that encompasses different instruments, different actors, and ultimately different use cases. So when we think about different instruments, yes, we're talking about central bank digital currency. We're also talking about private money. We're talking about stablecoin, tokenized deposit. We might be talking about native cryptocurrencies. All of these things we anticipate coexisting in some fashion in a mature marketplace. We might be talking about native cryptocurrencies. All of these things we anticipate coexisting in some fashion in a mature marketplace, subject to regulatory frameworks, that allow for them to interoperate along different corridors. But we're building for that. We're building for that future.
But one of the goals for designing this well would be to build a platform upon which the private sector can build higher end services, can make the money usable in other circumstances. So yes, we would want it to be programmable in some sense, not by us, but by the private sector. We supply the money, the private sector makes it usable in various circumstances.
And it's increasing. At first it was, maybe once every couple of months I'd get a call, hey, we've got this problem, this idea, and we were able to use digital assets to solve it.
Collateralized stablecoins will be players, but I think there will still have to be liquidity between them. And if you imagine dozens of stablecoins, hundreds and hundreds of markets is probably not going to be as efficient as going through some sort of assets that aggregate, like the dollar does today. The dollar sort of aggregates demand for smaller currencies, and we see XRP playing that role.
We supply the money, the private sector makes it usable in various circumstances.
And we see XRP playing that role.
Now, banks are regulated, conservative, and they're not yet embracing digital currency. So the Ripple software works fiat to fiat. You don't need to send digital currency around. You can send US dollars to Japanese yen, et cetera, but kind of the secret sauce or taking it to the next level is by leveraging a digital asset.
It's increasing. At first it was, maybe once every couple of months I'd get a call, hey, we've got this problem, this idea, and we were able to use digital assets to solve it.
Secret sauce or taking it to the next level is by leveraging a digital asset to make that transaction much more efficient.
Now it's every day. And what I'm seeing at the same time is a growing recognition from the traditional providers that they're going to have to compete with this, because we are starting to work around the use of banks and banking rails and the traditional payment rails by using digital assets in different ways. And is a growing recognition from the traditional providers that they're going to have to compete with this, because we are starting to work around the use of banks and banking rails and the traditional payment rails by using digital assets in different ways. And so what I'm now seeing is the evolution of the major players defending territory. This is going to move ahead rapidly. Why? Because the banks and the governments are going to make it move rapidly. They are going to take control of their portion of the business. And that's where we're going to see a lot of the next evolution. The banks are slowly getting the power to deal, particularly in stablecoins and particularly fiat-backed stablecoins. They're going to be able to collateralize loans against them. I spent a good part of my morning this morning working on a platform and program for the collateralization of digital assets and the use of stablecoins for the funding in and out of the platform. And so we're going to see a lot of it. So that's how I look at how this industry is evolving and developing. And the regulation is going to follow naturally.
And be also regulatory compliant for cross-border payments.
Subject to regulatory frameworks that allow for them to interoperate along different corridors. But we're building for that. We're building for that future.
For stablecoins. I think Alex and I were both terrified about a year or two ago when it was looking as though the securities regulators were going to come in and attempt to scoop up the entire field and claim anything that was a stablecoin, regardless of structure or use, was a security. It appears that that view is adjusting, and it has to adjust, because the problem is if everything becomes a security, it won't work. It just quite simply won't work, because you can't use something that is found to be a security in a payment system or a trade payment or those types of things. So it's got to be recognized that the potential uses are finance, the potential uses are payment and payment rails, the potential uses include simple transfers.
Things, I think, play into that the same thing. And the positive thing is that at the same time, the SEC said XRP is not a security.
Because the problem is if everything becomes a security, it won't work. It just quite simply won't work, because you can't use something that is found to be a security in a payment system or a trade payment or those types of things.
All these things, I think, play into that the same thing. And the positive thing is that at the same time, the SEC said XRP is not a security.
So it's got to be recognized that the potential uses are finance, the potential uses are payment and payment rails.
What are we talking about here in terms of these new money rails systems? So firstly, we're talking about different forms of payment rails. So a very big part of blockchain technology is bringing out something like the Ripple network, which wants to be the next generation of a payment network, a cash system.
So it's got to be recognized that the potential uses are finance, the potential uses are payment and payment rails.
There's a lot of context globally has changed. It's not the same anymore. So things are really moving. And then if you, later on, you'll see Ripple, they're trying to really disrupt not just the cryptocurrency market, but also the payments and trying to play a bigger role. And then now with the SEC, so we're there, we're moving forward.
The potential uses are finance, the potential uses are payment and payment rails, the potential uses include simple transfers, it can include simple money services.
So, Ripple have built our key product is a product called on-demand liquidity, which essentially uses XRP and the XRP ledger as a bridging asset between two fiat currencies. And what that does is it allows the entities that we work with to move value in real time at a fraction of the cost.
And the methods of delivery, I think, are coming closer together. The very fact that, sort of side by side with stable coins, or in fact a form of stable coin, you're getting into the central bank issue. And, which was a natural evolution that I saw coming probably 8 or 9 years ago, which is that the central banks will never let this all escape. And the central banks will, in quotes, get into the business, into the central bank issue. And, which was a natural evolution that I saw coming probably 8 or 9 years ago, which is that the central banks will never let this all escape. And the central banks will, in quotes, get into the business.
And where do you sort of see your technology kind of mapping into existing frameworks for risk management, such that we can go, with our hand on our heart to the largest institutions in the country and say, hey, we've solved this, and this. We have a fully, this is ready for scale.
Yeah, I'll answer that, this is me speaking. I don't believe the guidance is there yet, right? From an industry's perspective, we can give the insight to it, but until the regulations are put in place, and I know you said it earlier, it's still early, we're still early days of this, but I think the industry, you're probably looking for that guidance, and it's not there yet.
Please tell us, where do you think the market is moving, and how is Ripple contributing to the whole ecosystem?
Sure. So Ripple commissioned a report last year which actually showed that 76% of traditional FIs are looking to implement some kind of crypto or blockchain solution in the next 3 years. Now, I think back, I've been at Ripple 5.5 years. 5 years ago, we were having a meeting with large banks. If you mention the word crypto, people looked uncomfortable in their seats. You can see some, are they going to call security, escort us off the premises? But now you fast forward, 5 years, or certainly for the last 18 months, those same banks are calling us back in to discuss what their strategy looks like, right? So, firstly, big change. Some, we've made some huge strides there, but we still got a long way to go to actually have these, traditional FIs implement solutions that their customers can actually adopt. A lot of it is still talk, but again, we've made some tremendous progress there. And Ripple have been quite unique in that sense because we view partnerships between traditional FIs as key to the growth and adoption for crypto and blockchain, right? We believe that, these institutions, for mass adoption, you need to educate, you need regulation, but you also need the big players who have the reach to also support and push that on to, the benefits to their consumers. So that's a big focus.
So you believe that collaboration and partnerships are crucial?
100%.
It's going to have to be someone that all the central banks on the spoke trust.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
And if you think about it, you have these big, slow banks that want to implement something cool and sexy, but they don't have the infrastructure to do that. So the only way for them to do that is to partner with crypto native entities and businesses who can kind of bridge the gap and give them the solution they need without the heavy lift of building it themselves. And that's kind of what we're seeing.
Wow, so if that video breakdown didn't confirm a whole bunch of information for you all, I don't know what else will. Again, remember, they're not sitting here talking about Cardano the way that they're talking about RippleNet. They're not sitting here talking about Bitcoin the way that they're talking about RippleNet or the digital asset XRP having regulatory clarity. So keep those things in mind. Remember, XRP is not my biggest bag and I'm not an XRP maxi. If I was able to provide this information for you all on other digital assets in my portfolio, I would. But you can't find these systemically important organizations and highly reputable individuals talking about any other blockchain protocol except RippleNet, as you all saw from the video breakdown. With that being said, again, take into consideration some of the things that you might have learned or picked up on from this video breakdown as you go forward in your own investing career in this digital asset space. Understand that this is going to be a slow process that transforms over time. This digital transformation is coming. Digital assets, in my personal opinion, will be utilized in the future once regulations are clear and there is a level playing field across the entire globe for these financial institutions to onboard themselves into this space. With all of that in mind, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the platform. Do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button. It goes a long way, helps boost these videos out to more individuals like yourselves. And I will see you all in the next video breakdown.